What's that? That's right. You just wait. We're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please join me in pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We got roll call. Looks like all council staff are here minus Matt. But Andrew's filling in and actually we need him, so we're good there. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the work session on Millersburg strategic plan. Turn it over to you, Janelle.
All right. The slide. Okay, so I put together a little outline here, but we're gonna go through depending on time, because we need to finish right at 5, right?
Five-ish.
We're cutting it off at
I
5.
told 2 hours. so.
Okay. So we got through reviewing strategic priorities 1 through 3 at the last workshop. So we're gonna go through 4 through 6. I think this will be quicker, they're shorter. Then this is all time dependent. Wanted to review the mission, vision, and values. I just pulled it up on the screen, see if you have any feedback. I think they already sent one suggestion. The strategic priorities themselves, if you think that you want to see any changes to those 6 items. And then talk about a draft with feedback incorporated and next steps. So I will jump into the document. So we're starting with public infrastructure, and I gotta look at the screen to be able to read through it. So again, this is the current strategic plan with comments on what has been done to date. So the first goal, develop Old Salem Road as the gateway into Millersburg. So there's a fair bit of discussion about that, as that's what people drive on to get into our town. Develop plans to optimize the aesthetics of Old Salem Road through the following actions. Review land use development code and design standards for properties fronting Old Salem Road. So I said, that one's complete. We did that. They were incorporated into the land use development code. So recommend removal of that item. Then incorporate improvements, enhancements along Old Salem Road into transportation system plan. So we incorporated those things into the development code, not the transportation system plan. We are, as you know, we talked about at the last meeting, we're talking about a transportation system plan update in the coming year. So we can definitely keep this item in some form to say we want to look at this with the transportation system plan. I think my question would be, what types of things do you want to see? I think the reason why some of this didn't happen before, we got design standards in there, but then that and the next one, the gateway treatments, no one really knew what they wanted those to be or what do we want to accomplish other than make it look better. So those are questions for you all that you don't need to answer tonight, but if we want to keep these items in there, then maybe we can talk a little bit more about how you want them to be accomplished.
Yes.
Okay.
Then keep it, there's things that I brought up in the past, just on that quick note, was like, do we want to look at future decorative lighting, since that's our corridor, like, so sort of that decorative lighting buffer between our industry, light industrial or commercial space to the which we already have some, but maybe we do more to the I guess that's to the east. Just some of those kind of ideas, fencing or whatever to the west, that's all residential, or majority, yeah, all residential. So just ideas. But
And then at the end, I'm going to hand you out a version of this that kind of cleans up all these comments and gets rid of the things that are just done and have some other possible suggestions. And this is one area where there's a couple other things added that you might want to think about for the future, like a roundabout here at Concert and Old Salem has been thrown out, or some sort of intersection change, whether it's roundabout or something else. And that could go with this one. It's part of Old Salem Road. Is, you know, we're talking about Gateway, are we talking about north and south ends? Or are we talking about other points where people come into the city? It's probably multiple. But so keep that in mind so you go forward. Goal number 2, this covers a lot of stuff. Provide safe, sufficient, and reliable city streets, water, sewer, and stormwater systems. I'll come back to that one in a minute. First one, maintain compliance with all water quality regulatory requirements for drinking water, sewage disposal and stormwater ongoing. We don't need to change that one unless we want to change that one. Maintain water loss at 10% or less. So at the time this was written, water loss, and this is in the drinking water, potable water supply system, was not being tracked on a regular basis. It is now. Our average annual water loss for the 21 through 24 period was 3.4%, which is considered very low. So we're in good shape here. This is, other than the leak issue that we've talked about, we don't have overall a leaky system. We're not losing a lot of water. So we can keep this in here if we want. It was there for a specific reason because we didn't have the data back when we did this.
Was 10% put in for any specific reason? Is
Yeah,
that
that's
like
a regulatory limit.
That's so that's
They
the
don't wanna
upper
see-
limit or the lower limit?
I'd have to go back and look now. It's, well,
It just
they'd
seems
like
high to
it.
me.
It's
Yeah,
high,
I
yeah.
thought the same
Well,
actually.
they'd like you to be well under it. Under 5 is considered really
Well,
good.
that's what I was gonna throw out is that a objective we wanna keep is, cause 10% seems high.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is water loss in this context isn't all leaking. It's water that is not accounted for. So we try to kind of estimate that, but you should have some water loss. So firefighting activities, not accounted for. Flushing, like Albany's doing now, not accounted for. We can try to estimate how much water they used, but that's generally included in this percentage. So doesn't mean you're leaking all that water, just means you're not measuring it.
Okay.
But
But if-
10% is higher than I'd like to see us.
Yeah, but if
I'd
we
like to
hit
keep it
five,
under
if we hit 5, then that could be a management trigger point or management action, right? If you're seeing something above that and versus 10.
Close to it.
From a-
Versus 10,
Versus
exactly.
10, so I think we should have it like
Well-
5 or something, unless.
From a regulatory standpoint, it's 10.
Right,
That is a trigger in our water management conservation plans when we have to do
Well,
that.
If we see more than 10% growth from one year to the next, I would wanna know what happened.
It might be something when I say keep monitoring it, which we're going to do, and then if we had, so. The way the data comes in, like, you can't just look at one data point, like over 3 years, this is a good average. Over 1 year, we have a decent average. Over a couple months, it's all over the board. Because of the way the metering data works, so. I would say we could keep monitoring it. We could say, there's a threshold at 5% and a threshold at 10% if you wanted, but I would want to. I don't want to make an action limit at 5% that says we have to do something at that point, other than look into it more because
we
it
could-
may
well,
not be.
yeah,
Are you
that-
comfortable with us changing it to maintain water less to loss? To less than 5% in a trailing 12-month period?
Can I get back to you on that?
Sure.
I want to look at the regulations a little bit more on it because, and the other question is, do you want this in the strategic plan? Right, like, is
Yeah,
it the
yeah.
strategic plan goal or not? It's fine if you
Yeah.
do, but the reason it was in there before was, again, we didn't have the data.
Yeah.
And for comparison, Albany, I'm trying to remember the numbers they said, I'll give a range because I don't remember the exact, but when they started an effort to really improve their water system, because they inherited a bunch of really bad stuff from the past. They're in much better shape now, but I think they were in the 20s.
I don't know.
Uh,
Well, why don't you get back to us?
Can I just ask a question? So, we have the strategic plan, we have our comprehensive plans,
mhm.
we have our codifications. Where, if it wasn't a strategic plan, because I understand what you're saying, it's operational in nature.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of
It-
other document might it be?
It would be it is already in our water management and conservation plan, which that document is regulated by the state. That's where I was going with. I don't know if we want to put a different threshold in this document than we have in that document.
Well, if we're gonna take it out of this document and just rely on the existing managing document, I'm good with that.
We can,
I guess it would depend what the state says, cause I mean, if the state's,
I guess.
So, but in
10 or
in
15.
something like this, you might say meet or exceed the.
Right, and that's what I was
measurements
getting
in
at.
Our other,
Yeah.
in the plan that you just said,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so then we're kind of incorporating this idea that we don't want to just meet them.
mhm.
We
Right.
want to exceed them if possible.
and that's what I was getting at, is
Yeah.
what does the state say? And is it something that we want to make sure that we exceed?
And the state is gonna say, if you're getting numbers, they have, those plans are 10-year plans, we have to update every 10 years, and every 5 years, we have to do a report. they're gonna say, if you're higher, then you have to start a plan for finding and addressing leaks. You're not out of compliance with some, it's not like a water quality compliant, out of compliance issue. It's you're losing too much water. That's not a good use of a resource. You need to look into your system and get on a path to making this better. Make sense?
So, yeah, and I think we could potentially just remove this if it's already in the management plan.
We
And
can,
then incorporate what we were saying, what
But yeah,
Alan was saying, sort of that.
an objective could be meet
Yeah.
or exceed targets in all of our management plans. As like as a goal
As a
or
sort of a-
when you're just talking at the strategic level,
More global,
you would lay, you would have language that's more general.
yeah, and it kind of goes with number one,
Yeah,
actually,
right,
already.
yeah. Okay.
Okay,
I have a question for you guys. How do you control the water use when you have construction projects going on? Are they metered?
that, yep,
Okay.
they get a hydrant meter put on
Okay.
and they're using, it's metered through that, and they're charged for it. All right. Number 3, ensure that citywide master plans and engineering standards are in place and regularly reviewed / updated for street water, sewer, and stormwater. So at the time this was done, we were had recently done, or were in the middle of doing multiples of these plans. They're typically 20-year plans, but they may need, updated more frequently, like we're talking about the transportation system plan, because of changes. And also, we talked about, and you'll see in this document, we'll probably want to do a sewer master plan update sooner than that. Oh, it's right there too. So we can just keep this as ongoing. Okay. Incorporate tasks and projects identified in master plans into capital improvement program and Millersburg priority task list, the Gantt chart. So I said, this is done. We're no longer using the Gantt chart. I did just restart that at the last meeting, but I think this item could go away because it's already done. The task was getting everything in the right documents in the first place.
Please remove.
Establish and adopt engineering standards. This was done. Of course, like all standards, it needs periodic review and revisions.
So we've developed our own engineering standards, or we're using the county still?
We have our own engineering standards. We have adopted Albany's construction standards. We don't use any of the county standards because they're written more for county roads, not for city streets.
Okay.
So they're not quite the right fit for in the city.
Okay.
And our engineering standards do mirror Albany's in a lot of ways, especially in water and sewer, because they're
Sure.
maintaining our system. But stormwater and streets, within cities, engineering standards, copying and making it consistent with your neighbors is the norm. All right, goal number 3, develop and implement proactive maintenance plans and funding mechanisms for city infrastructure. So the driver here was really what we've been talking about on streets. Back then we were talking about it on streets and everything else, make sure we're maintaining what we've got. So maintain a survey of street conditions throughout the city and budget for multi-year maintenance plan based on the results of the survey. So we just talked a lot about streets, I know. So we do have our 5-year condition assessment that we'll continue doing. We're planning the maintenance activities. This could be an ongoing item.
I'll get some notes on here, adding it, I'm not sure if it's elsewhere, but adding bridges to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so language is just not streets, but bridges. And then, do we want, to actually, and this is more maybe as we were talking about with the water and, I just have a note here, like, do we want a target number for our survey? Right now, we're at, I think it's 84% our roads generally. Or it was called
Whatever,
out
it was
3 years
84,
ago,
86,
or whatever. Do we want to have a goal or of a specific number? We already did a lot of conversation about that. That number looks like it could be going down unless we start doing a little bit more maintenance. Where is that threshold? So we're always on it, and that might be not operational. I don't know if that's in the strategic plan. Do we want it
You-
at
you-
85 or?
You
I-
could,
you
you
know.
could have a goal in here, a goal to maintain, or an objective, and the goal to maintain the PCI rating for the city as a whole at greater than 80 or greater than 75. I don't think I would
Yeah.
say try to keep it
Yeah,
right
I'd
where
say
it's
it's 75,
today.
80, or,
Yeah,
so
Uh,
what do you guys think?
I think 70 is considered good or fair, or like good, satisfactory, and higher, obviously. But I think we're currently our average, I believe it was like 72 or 73.
I think it's 84.
Oh, is it 80? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
it's
you're
in the
right. Yeah,
80s.
it's in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 83 or.
So I don't- what do you guys think? I actually, I like putting Millersburg a little higher, so I'd say 75.
75.
Are we
We're saying above.
above
Yeah,
75? Yeah.
Above.
What do you guys think?
And that's on an average for all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that takes into effect Amanda Lane and some of those other ones that we know are bad. You liking more? 80?
Well,
I
I'd
don't
say
know.
at 75, it's pointless to even put it in there for 84. I mean,
We just don't want to drop below that.
right, no, I mean, I get that,
I like
but
80.
it would take a lot of years before our roads got to,
Yeah.
Not a lot of years.
Well, from what we heard just the other night,
A week ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
From last year's already dropped.
all right, so
That pace in 5 years.
Yeah. I just really think we gotta really focus on the roads, make sure they don't get away from us. That's all. 80, 75. What do we think? What do you think? Again, I heard 80 over here.
works fine with me.
Oh,
I'd
then we
like
go high, 80.
I think 75 is low personally.
What we thought? Yeah,
So many cities would be so happy to have 75, but
okay,
I mean, it's a objective under a goal. We can say, I mean, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Keep it above 80
Yeah,
and
keep it above
then
80.
you can revisit this. You know, it might play into the whole discussion we're having on the fuel tax. If we
Mhm.
have a
Mhm.
good funding stream, we should be able to do that.
We have a public facilities plan.
A public facilities plan.
Yeah, do we have one like goal 11?
We have our transportation system plan, our water, like all those pieces are the public facility plan together.
I'm sorry, we went along so quickly, but I had a question on the Sunset Park, the new park. Who decides the park across the street? Is that gonna have bike lanes and walk paths in there?
Sunset Park?
The new park across the
The,
street?
the linear park
Uh,
on transition.
Yes.
Yeah, linear,
Yeah.
park, yeah, the linear park.
The linear park there is the strip that contains the multi-use path. Right, so
So
it's a
bike
12
and
foot wide.
pedestrians can get on there?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Sunset,
you.
did that is that oh, okay. You just came up with that one?
Well, I was reading this whole list
Oh.
and then you guys went forward and I didn't get a chance to ask you.
Where did you see that?
It's on the Sunset Park Committee and establishing the
Oh.
park commission.
Sunset the Parks Committee and establish.
Retire the Parks Commission.
Got it.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
what
Got
it
it.
is.
Okay, cool.
I think we're getting to that one. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, okay, the next one was evaluate fuel tax, right? So we're in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Guessing you want to leave that on the list?
Yep.
Implement recommendations of stormwater master plan for maintenance of city drainage facilities. So I recommend removing this one. What we decided was appropriate was implemented, moved into our maintenance plans, CIP for stormwater. I don't think there's a need to keep this item on the list. If there's something specific you want related to stormwater on here, we can do that. But we can think about it.
Go with your recommendation on that, unless council feels different.
Okay. Evaluate adoption of stormwater utility to fund ongoing stormwater maintenance. So the structure for the stormwater utility is in our code, meaning we could adopt a rate and start charging for it. But we have not, you haven't adopted any fees. Council's never done that. This is something that could remain on the list as a, ongoing if needed. We don't necessarily have to keep it on the strategic plan unless you want to.
I just had a notice, do we want as a city have a action point where it is starting to get into our general and we don't, and have further conversation, but I think, wouldn't we just do that through just regular business,
The budget process.
budget process,
Yeah.
right? So probably don't need it then. Yeah, that was the only note I had, was like, just so it doesn't get away from us.
All right. Evaluate rates annually to ensure adequate funding for operations and maintenance of systems consistent with funding requirements. So this is water and sewer rates, is what this was talking about. So the rate study was completed in 2021. And we adopted that schedule of rate increases. We've already talked about thinking we're going to need to look at water and sewer rates again in the next year. So I think I drafted something new for that one, just to keep an eye on it.
Was it, was that, can we tie it to, what, is it tied to anything? CPI or growth?
Or so when you adopted the schedule of rate increases
That was
5
just-
years ago.
That was just to make it up.
No,
right?
included
Yeah,
expected,
yeah.
yeah, so water was adopted at 3% a year for
Right.
just the inflationary increases. Sewer was higher because there was some catching up to do in the sewer fund. And then I think we just looked at, this is the last year.
Yeah.
Of it, and it drops down to 3% for that CPI.
Right. And is that something we can just tie it to, so we're not,
Oh.
yeah,
I think you're gonna have to adopt another schedule of increases. The other thing we need to.
really?
The other thing we need to do is, we do need to reevaluate it because so a lot of our cost in those, utilities is due to the operation of the treatment plants. And we had some changes in how
Mhm.
Albany is billing us for those in the
That's
last
right.
year or two.
We were getting away with it.
They were
We-
undercharging us.
Yeah,
Not capturing all the costs. So now that that's been corrected, we need to take a look at things going forward. I think we were fine, because I think when we did that study in the first place, we thought we were going to be charged those higher fees, but
Right.
things have changed enough. It's been long enough now. It's time to look at it again. Other things have changed, like, for example, the drawdowns on the reservoirs and the sediment in the rivers. Not a huge cost impact to us yet, but it can be in the future, and it's something Albany's really tracking closely, and they're keeping us updated.
okay.
Right, SDCs, system development charges. Evaluate SDCs based on changes to master plans and ensure ongoing funding for needed and planned capital improvements. So the SDC studies were completed in 2020 for all areas except parks, and that was done in 2021 because we were waiting to finish the master plan. So the SDC study takes a look at past projects that were done, capital projects, future needed capital projects, and it assigns a fee to development. And so we went through that process. You have to go through a certain process and have certain documents in place to comply with state statutes to be able to collect these fees. Every year, the legislature meets, there are bills introduced that are trying to get rid of SDCs or change how SDCs work. So that could always, just keep that in mind. That could change in the future.
You said the plan goes through and evaluates projects that were completed in the past, ongoing projects, et cetera, et cetera. Are these two over here, the two big ones, going to negatively impact future SDCs, or do we know?
The Transition Parkway
Yes,
project?
well, that and when it.
Oh, you mean DeLorean?
Yes, the
and
DeLorean
Timberlab?
Timber Lab.
Are those projects going to negatively affect?
Could they negatively affect this report when it looks at past, you got maybe a really
Cause
large.
it's such a big bump.
Exactly,
Yeah.
big bumps.
Gonna-
No, that process looks at projects that were done in the past that have a component left for additional capacity. So a water main that went in the ground, that's maybe not the best idea.
Future rates won't be established based on how big this project was,
Correct.
penalizing future developers.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. It's not about the development projects and what they pay. It's about the work that needs to be done.
Okay,
Now, they paid a lot in SDCs, and that's going to fund Transition Parkway and
Right,
stuff.
right.
So we won't collect future SDCs to pay for Transition Parkway if it's already been paid for.
Right.
You know,
but any other development that comes in, those SDC funds could go to other projects.
yes.
So this. could
Any
be-
SDC eligible projects, we can spend that on. Sorry.
I was gonna say, so this can be removed because it's in the index?
We do index these, yeah. So yes, we can remove this unless there's something specific you want to look at. We've had on the list for a little while to look at SDCs for ADUs. and the rate we're charging for those. I don't know if you want that in the strategic plan or just something for us to revisit, but or if there's other things with SDCs. Our SDC rates are not the lowest in the area. We're on the middle to upper end. And that was, you know, at the time they were established, it all meets the requirements for the statute. And because we have larger lots, there are fewer units to spread out the total cost between, which makes the amount higher. When you adopt them, you don't have to adopt the highest possible rate that the study shows. You can adopt anything less than that. You as council could reevaluate them in the future, even without changing the plans and say, well, we want the rates that we're gonna charge to be lower. But at this point, they're escalating by the CCI construction cost index for the Northwest area. And you don't have to do anything about them.
A little bit of history on that is that our SDC fees were very low many years ago. That's why you saw a huge amount of people jumping on that for building. That's where we outgrew basically our infrastructure and our staff. So council back when this was initially started was made the decision, to increase the SDCs, knowing it was higher, but we knew that that would potentially slow down the growth of the city, for us to take a breather, catch up, and then decide if we wanted to loosen those up or just keep it as it is. So I'd recommend we just status quo and keep it where it is, but anyone?
What percentage are they based on?
They are each one, so there's water, sewer, street, storm.
Right.
They're not, they're each, like water is based on your water meter size.
So it's a flat rate on water and sewer?
Well, it depends on what you're building. For a single family home, yes, it's a
Okay.
flat rate.
Okay,
For an industrial project, it's based on the impact. So each industrial project has its own specific calculation based on our rate structure. And we put in square footage of different spaces to calculate the
part of those SDC fees, is there school fees in there?
That's separate. There's a school excise tax that is passed through Millersburg. We collect it and it's passed through to
How much is that per foot?
it's $1. Do you know off the top of your head, Sheena?
I want to say it's $1.26 now. I do not.
I feel like it's more.
It's in the tape.
For residential, it's different for residential and commercial. I can pull it up if you want to know right now.
That's okay.
We don't set that fee.
I was paying $3.50 the last time I paid them.
Yeah.
It's $1, I want to say $1.56 or something.
Are you looking?
No, but I can really
There's
quick.
some-
Well, I'm looking.
There's
at-
something about that too, that like the school was doing it wrong or something, I don't know.
There's some question. We get 1% of that for
Yeah, so
administration.
that's it, that's the 1%.
There's some
yeah.
question of whether we could
Get that, that's right,
say more, but
Yeah.
we haven't pursued that right now.
right. Cause I think it can go up to 3, if I remember, or something.
We
like that,
found
yeah.
something on that.
Yeah.
We need to do some digging to see if that's what happened in the past about that. Okay, almost got it here.
You're saying you could go to $3 a foot, is that what you're saying?
No,
No,
it
no,
was what we could collect off of that dollar
Oh,
is
okay.
we can receive as a city, and if it's something that we
Mm.
haven't exercised or gone to the max, I think it's like 1%, but I think you can go to the max of 3. And that, I don't know, that was a couple years ago or something like that came up, I forget. but-
Yeah, we can look into that again, but it doesn't change what the
I think at the time,
customer's getting
at the
charged.
time, we didn't think it was needed, so.
It's $1.63 per square foot for residential and 82 cents a square foot for commercial. That's the current rates, and it's on living space for residential. It's capped for large projects at $40,800. I don't know where the number comes from, but
Hmm.
so like Timber Lab and DeLorean, that
that's
their
the
fee was
max.
just capped at the max, yeah. But again, that's just a pass through for us.
Are we good, just leaving that now?
Okay, number 7, in conjunction with development of new fire station, consider reuse, or relocation of existing structures or addition of new structures, new facilities for maintenance shop yard. So we were looking for a new spot, and we still are, for our maintenance facility. To move them out of the park. It might free up a little space in the park. We still need to keep some storage space in the park. But to move them to where we have a little more inside and outside storage that we can use. It was decided that that spot across the street there wasn't the right fit. They weren't the right buildings and it wasn't the right size, and it's the one small commercial area we have, so we're looking for a new spot, so I did put that in the new one, find a location for and start planning for any maintenance facility.
Okay, so that's the new language you'll add in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have some ideas,
Yeah.
we being staff, as we've looked at what we've got, that we should probably start the process of investigating further, but on property that we own right now, some little corners that are maybe not as useful to others as they would be to us. Establish reserves funds for identified future capital needs. So we have created reserve funds in the budget since this was put on here. If you have specific things you want us to establish reserve funds for that we don't have, we can do that. I don't know if you want to have that in the strategic plan or just do it with the budget.
Is this the area where the covers for the park would go in?
Into the strategic plan? Or where
No,
the
for
money, where,
For the
Capital needs and.
capital needs?
yeah, I think establishing a reserve fund for parks facilities, if that's what you're getting at, yeah, that definitely could do that.
In here,
You can
Or
put
do
it
it
in here
with
if
the
you want,
budget.
we can definitely do it in the budget
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
so it seems like we have a whole bunch of those in the like projected capital plans already listed there.
We have it in the CIP, so the capital improvement plan document has a bunch of projects in the park in it. And in the park fund, it's part of the general fund, so it's not really a separate piece, but in the park area, we could show a separate reserve if we wanted to. Specific to parks. We haven't done that yet. We have shown projects and we show the park SDCs that have to be tracked separately. And used separately, but those aren't real big right now, so we can definitely do that.
Yeah, we can build it up.
yeah.
I think that'd be good. It's good to see that, and especially to see that growth.
There's advantages and disadvantages if you want to show it as a reserve fund for parks.
Yeah,
You can definitely do that, and then each year, just look at how much money are in there. It's part of the general fund overall reserve, so you can change the balance anytime you want. But it's probably a good idea to start showing those things in the budget so people know why we have the reserves we do, that we plan to do certain kinds of projects.
I think that sort of similar like with the fire station, and we got a little beat up on that because we were tucking away millions of dollars and like, hey, why are you taxing us? When we knew this project was coming, we could be doing the same thing with future park. I mean, it's a build out of 1.5 million or more, 2 million.
Keep going.
Keep going, whatever. So, maybe that's a good idea to line item that. So if we get ridiculed, we can say, well, this is the reason why, here it is. It's not just sitting in the general fund, building, we have no idea. We're just keeping it. Here's the reason there. I mean, we could explain that as well through our budget process, but in the capital plan, but I think I think added in, yeah.
Okay. All right, ready for the next one?
Yeah, let rip.
Goal number 4, provide enhanced opportunities for connectivity via non-motorized transportation throughout the city. So this is really about paths and trails. So complete parks master plan, including planning for multiple use trails and prioritize projects. This was done, the master plan was completed. Prioritization of the projects, I think, comes in the CIP and budget process. The incorporate the building of design trails into the planning and approval of new properties and interconnect with neighborhoods via bike lanes. So most of the subdivisions in Millersburg had planning approval prior to the strategic plan adoption. So this is a great goal, but it was a little late for most of the subdivisions we have. It is a requirement now, and it is a priority when we review them. So I don't know if there's a need to keep this. You can keep this here for sure, but that's what we're doing now about it.
I had a quick note on, I think I say we leave it, but I also just like, maybe it's not, I'm just, there's a note for more, I don't know where, but we want to try to communicate that often or as much. I reluctant to say that because it'll bring, what, you're gonna put a trailer in the back of my yard? But we have already established sort of the areas of future pathways, which are gonna be in people's backyards, basically, or front yards, wherever. And I don't know how to best communicate that, but I surely don't wanna have once we, this is way down the road, but when we get the funding or whatever, and all, we have this thing packed and they're screaming bloody murder at us,
So you're
more
probably
awareness.
thinking of
Yeah.
when we did the Parks Master Plan and showed the trails through the wetland areas,
Yep.
up through the middle of town by the pond up there, and
Yeah,
we had
that's
people who
probably
were
why I wrote it
pretty
down. is 'cause
unhappy
they
that
were-
there was
they were here
a-
with pitchforks.
map shown on a trail, or a trail shown on a map, even though there was no funding associated with it, they were very concerned, so. The TSP, when we do that, is going to, again, do all the trails and paths, like the Parks Master Plan did, so that's an opportunity for outreach and trying to get that out there.
So maybe we identify the TSP, and then when we do our monthly announcement or communication, maybe we can say, hey, future paths or whatever, check out our TSP and maybe hit some highlights. And that's our communication realm. I just don't want to catch council off guard. I mean, it's likely not gonna be any of us, but future wise.
So I caution here. I get the idea of what this wanted to do. And I'll be interested to see what it looks like in the TSP, because I don't know where those trails are.
Mhm.
But you need to be really careful on where you're putting trails in, where those trails access, and what that's bringing in to the community.
Right.
Um,
Those are the
That's-
same concerns that were brought up.
well, and that's, I mean, it's becoming more and more as the state starts mandating to allow more and more camps.
Yeah, and I think
So-
the trails, well,
I'm sorry.
specifically the one that came up was, the big question was, is coming off of Old Salem. Right there, into that retention pond and then up and through. But we have also trail system, yeah, right there, all the way to potentially to that new park, to going in on the north side, which would be just connecting, in theory, connecting neighborhoods with neighborhoods. It would probably not, promote the concerns that you're bringing up, that the old Salem one right off of, from
Right.
right down the street from the truck stop, which at the time, so we made the decision that, yeah, we didn't do that, we blocked that, or how did that end?
There was a lot of discussion on
Yeah.
that, and I'd have to pull it up to see, I think we eliminated those
Yeah,
kinds of
I
connections
think
and
it might
only
be the
connected
two
into
from the
neighborhoods.
Morning Star down to Clearwater, in through there, maybe, but yeah,
But as we're revisiting it, definitely good to look at.
yeah. So,
You made a statement, Mike, about camps. What do you mean by that?
Homeless camps. To put it bluntly.
You're saying that,
Oh, yeah, you put a
Something
trail
about the
right through that
state?
pond, I guarantee you, people try to camp
That was
there.
the reason they were.
Guaranteed, 100% it's
oh, okay,
happening.
I see where you're going with that.
Just ask.
I misunderstood. I
Yeah,
thought
I
you said
mean,
the
that's
state
why we cleared-
mandated that. I was
That's
like,
why we cleared the area down by the freeway, because they were camping up in that.
Yeah,
The-
okay.
The state has changed some of the rules around what we can do about it, I think is what. Mike was
Right, and you
referring to.
can't remove them.
there was even a trail proposed to go from Millersburg to Albany out, into from, Talking Gardens backside there, right where Timber Labs is going in that. Connecting the two, and there was concerns about basically transient work and what's going on back there. I think it'd be really cool, but it also, there's the pros and cons. of
Right,
that.
like I said, I mean,
I mean,
there are
It'd
benefits
be
to it. for
really
the
cool to be able
community,
to ride your
but-
bike without going down Old Salem.
Right,
And going
right.
to downtown Albany,
Right.
and that would be a way, but again, that's down the road and, you know.
It was in the plan, it got taken out of the plan for-
Now I know we
because of
can do
all
it
this
now.
discussion.
And I mean,
Yeah.
we might not be able to do it now, I don't know, because of now that Timber Labs owns that property and stuff, so.
Question for you. So if I'm understanding you two gentlemen correctly, you're telling me that a homeless person can go set up camp in that area where that water is. And you can't remove them, even though it's city property?
So there's, you wanna do it?
We've had
Yes
lots
and no.
of discussions with
you
our law enforcement.
Yeah.
Folks are the best ones to answer that.
Yeah.
There are certain things we can and can't do. And the rules make it hard, but they will do everything they can to get them to move along. And we've had pretty good luck with that. But the rules, my understanding, and it was a Ninth Circuit court case that started all this.
Grants
That
passed.
case has now been overturned, but Oregon adopted into law what the case said, so it. But it basically says you can't kick somebody out if they have nowhere to go. And then it got into.
You can adopt
Yeah.
reasonable time,
Reasonable
place, and
time place.
manner.
72 hours.
Restrictions, about that, but if. It also allows certain, advocacy groups the opportunity to make facial challenges if they give us notice, saying we think your statute doesn't do that, and then so a lot of jurisdictions just, you know, are really struggling because it feels like it's a liability trap for the cities. Because if they do push the envelope, whether it be an advocacy group making a challenge directly or someone gets arrested, they can raise it as a potential defense. And so we kind of follow the lead of our law enforcement officers because, you know, candidly, if they're not comfortable enforcing the law, it doesn't matter what we have on the books. So as a legislative body, we take their feedback into account.
And that law, it gave us more lenience to be able to move them along.
Mhm.
But just so you know, I mean, there is homeless camps in our city. They just don't access our community.
Where?
South side, go down to Talking Gardens. Talking Gardens is in our city.
Yeah.
And there's a
Pointing.
big camp on the
Oh,
backside, on the north side.
okay.
Yep, right there.
So they're out of sight, out of mind.
Well, their only
Yeah.
access is that would be a future trail potentially
Uh-huh.
to go into Millersburg from Albany. But their only access is really to go into Albany. So we don't even really experience it.
Okay.
But yeah,
And this isn't new. I
No,
mean,
that-
these have been here for
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, we
No, I don't.
we call it Hobo Village. This is what we called it at one point.
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, I'm in support of the trails. I just think we
Yeah.
want to be
Yeah.
thoughtful on where we
Agreed.
place them and what we're going
Is it a
through.
nice area?
Yeah, we,
It can be,
yeah. And you can come across some of our
Lovely guests.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to take
Our
off.
Oh, no,
urban
that's good.
outdoorsman.
Oh,
And,
Yeah, let's keep on track.
Okay,
Let's keep
well,
going.
outdoor.
I think that part of the point of that item though,
Yeah.
is I'll give you an example here. These neighborhoods here, when they were approved, there were no requirements for connectivity that isn't streets. So it'd be awfully nice if there was some way to connect between these two, you know, a path like in some neighborhoods where you're gonna have just a path between the lots to get from one to the other without having to go all the way out and around. So I think that's part of what that item was getting at, the planning for those connections between neighborhoods as well. It's awfully hard to go back now and put those kind of.
Well, and even
connections
if you go up a little further to our new park,
in. Yep,
how does our neighborhood right there even access it without going?
they have to go out and around. Yep.
So
Yep.
it'd be nice to have some type of connection there so that
Yeah,
you
so-
can get from the neighborhood, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
kids don't want to go down on, I wouldn't want kids.
What
out
about
there.
through the power easement?
Yeah, to the bottom right there.
Right.
We could, and then
Yeah,
the trail
potentially.
system could lead you down there. It's a little bit.
There's a creek right here and it's a steep drop off.
Yeah, that's-
Those are all
yeah,
details,
yeah.
yeah, but that was the concept behind it is,
Right.
yeah, I mean, the trails that are shown in the plans, but also the planning for, you know, how do you get from the end of the cul-de-sac into here?
Yeah,
Well, if we planned for that, we
We've
could, it'd
sort
be
of-
easy, but we didn't.
Sort of
It
missed the
wasn't
boat
planned
on
that way.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll go on. Goal 5, ensure that adequate public transportation is available to those requiring it as the city continues to grow. So when I read this, public transportation to me sounds like buses. I don't think that was the full intent though at the time, because the item says represent the city's public transportation needs. Well, I guess so, through AMPO. Go ahead.
So I was gonna I can actually add some information to this one from the Campo, the last meeting. They were showing the transportation plan. Just how they are able to get around from Albany from Corvallis, from Lebanon, all the way to Sweet Home. And I did ask, why are we not included in that? And they did acknowledge that that's something they're looking at, us and actually Jefferson as well. So to bring a loop down through here, so that's
Hmm.
in the future works. It just,
And then my-
I guess when it was originally done, then they haven't redone it since, so.
And you had no timeline and it would
Yeah.
connect.
Oh, yeah,
to
you were in the meeting.
Newport, so.
But
And-
tied to the 5,000?
No,
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Jefferson has been asking for this more vocally than Millersburg has actually for several years. Some sort of public transportation out there. There's been some discussion at council about it in the past, and the question is, you know, is that a need for Millersburg? Some of our employers might think so. Some of our residents might not. Chariot's actually looked at bringing a route down here from Salem at some point. I know recently Albany's, public transit system is mostly funded with federal funds, which are now gone. And they're trying to figure out how to keep things afloat. So this may not be a short-term thing, but maybe a longer-term thing.
And it is pretty cool what they were showing. I mean, you can
Yeah.
tell where your bus is at by going to their website. They've got transducers on the buses, so you can track where it's at and see how close. Okay, I gotta get to my stop, because they're gonna be there in a minute.
That's cool.
There was some concern in the past about whether Millersburg wanted bus stops out here. So that's just something to think about.
Yeah. We currently use Dial-A-Ride.
Dial-A-Ride.
Yeah,
Call a ride.
Dial-A-Ride, the call ride.
Mhm.
And that seems to be, and we provide a
We pay
discount,
for-
we pay for that, so that's our transit. So if people need to get in, they can't.
But they may
drive.
not be aware of that.
Yeah, actually, I have a note, more communication, advertisement on that, I don't know
All
if
right.
that's, again.
Well, and
something-
I would be interested to see what the need is like. Because I know like there was a lot of buses from Salem up north towards Portland. I think Wilsonville, there's a city bus that runs at least a couple times a day in the morning and at night. But I think a lot of those routes have really diminished since COVID, and everybody's teleworking now. So I think we've gone back quite a few years to where they're wanting to do.
I think
because
the
rider-
last time I remember.
need is
A
dropping.
council that had Dial-A-Ride, a call ride, they came in, it was minimal, it was a small number. But I like the idea that at least we had that as an option for
Mhm. Right.
people, as long as we can communicate that, and it sounds like I saw you write down, so it's something we can look into.
Who pays that cost?
The city,
He does 100%?
I think so, I mean,
We.
or no,
so-
not 100%, no, go ahead. You know.
Well, I don't know the percentage.
Oh.
It's provided by the
It-
city of Albany and we have joined. Our residents have access to it because we are paying into it. So we get a bill with our quarterly bills from Albany every quarter. Water, sewer, we get a call rate bill. It's really small. And and we get a list of all the calls and the people who use it. It's not very many
Sub
Like under-
sub 100
Yeah, oh, yeah,
people.
yeah,
dollars.
So.
oh, I don't know about,
It's probably over $100.
Well, we'll see it in the-
Probably,
we'll see it in the
probably
budget.
sub 5 people.
yeah, I mean,
And
it's
then
very
given-
minimal people, I think they have to pay like $1.50 or
You
something
have
like
to be a
that.
resident of Millersburg to use it from Millersburg?
Well,
Or
for
can
us to get
anybody
billed,
use it?
well, it's active in Albany too.
Right, but
So-
I mean, if someone lived over, say, across the other side of the freeway that's outside the city of Millersburg, can they come over here and get it paid for?
Not by
Yeah,
Millersburg.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, cause it goes by their address, so.
Sheena, did you have?
I was gonna say, it probably is, I was trying to look it up, but it's working back. That $100 or whatever, that is for a quarter, that's.
Quarter,
not
yeah,
just like-
yeah. It's not.
It is
very
really,
much.
It is a little-
pretty small amount.
I can have it in a
And
second.
it'll take you anywhere in Albany?
Not just all, but
Not really sure.
we can find out.
I know the people that are using it were needing it for work. They just called. It's not mine.
So first, for a quarter's worth, just the last bill I pulled up was $810. Per
Per
quarter,
quarter.
per quarter.
It's not bad.
Okay, and it's,
That's actually more than I thought. So
well, we probably have, let's see.
it's
one,
being
two,
used more
three,
than I remember.
4, 5,
Right.
6, 7.
Well,
Very
that's probably
seasonality
not
to
the
it,
cost
Like we see more in the
for,
winter time.
for the riders, that's the cost to operate the program.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is
oh, yeah.
which is what the buses are looking at on,
Yeah.
do we want schedules? Cause it costs so much to run an empty bus.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So it seems like it's a good fit for the price.
For now.
Yeah,
We have
but
probably,
if Amber, yeah, that might be an option.
And if the
but-
feds funds got cut off, the city of Albany, with this current administration, do we know if even the 5,000 population is gonna stick in place? That's the tripwire that we have to do something?
Yeah,
we-
it was a note.
we don't have. I believe the threshold is that we have to start planning for something,
Okay.
or that we need to plan our areas for them, but I
Transit.
don't think it's a requirement that we provide transit.
All right.
I don't know, I mean, the administrative rules on goal 12, it would be prescribed by rule, and you guys did it in 2020, we're looking at amending the TSP, we'll check and see
yeah.
if the extent has changed. I'm not sure what mandates are within that planning document. Or if there's another body of law that has some mandates on providing.
Yeah, I know what I've talked with Matt about on the land use side is we have to like plan like if you have a CFEC area that we talked about before, right, you have to plan for transit. But doesn't mean you have to, you can't, they're not saying cities you have to force transit to be available, or. Okay. You guys ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Or-
Well, ensure that adequate,
Oh,
what are we
I
talking
didn't
about?
finish
Keeping
that
it?
one.
Ensure that adequate public transportation is available to those requiring it as the city continues to grow. Do we want to change ensure and like into review or something, or,
Yeah, I think,
ensure to me, it just seems like, oh, we're gonna ensure you have transportation. And we're not there yet. We do have an alternate to public transportation, that's the caller ride, but I don't know, it's just a wordsmith thing.
we definitely can change that. I also was gonna suggest changing it to ensure that, or change the word somehow, but adequate transportation facilities are available, because this is one goal for one objective that's pretty narrowly focused, and you could leave it that way, but you could also broaden it to say, okay, now we're talking about transportation facilities, it could be public transportation, it could be, thinking about our road system, and that it's adequate for the needs of the people. And so we could look at expanding that a little bit.
Maybe wordsmith that just so it doesn't lock us in that
Yep.
if someone pushes us like, well, it says right here in your strategic plan that you're gonna get me public transportation. Well, no, we're gonna continue to evaluate that or look into it and then eventually put that in place, but yeah.
Yeah.
And same with the facilities, but yeah.
All right, recreation. Now we're on.
Yeah, recreation, that's fun,
Recreation.
good stuff.
All right. First one, goal, evaluate and plan for park and recreation needs. Complete parks master plan to identify parks and recreation needs. So this was done. I think we can get rid of this one just for doing the plan. Sunset Parks Committee and establish a Parks Commission upon completion of the master plan. That was also done. The Parks Commission is established. Develop additional goals and objectives in consultation with Parks Commission and council concurrence based on system inventory, community needs, goals, and implementation actions and strategies identified in the Parks Master Plan. So this one, we could definitely do some work on this. I mean, you can keep it in the plan, strategic plan. We need to get Parks Commission back together, and they've done some specific things so far, but they haven't wholesale looked at the projects in the way this goal would say, so.
Yeah.
We can keep this, we can work on actually getting that going a little bit more.
I think so, that'd be good. The outline, yeah.
Ensure the Parks Master Plan is regularly reviewed and updated, so it's being reviewed all the time, especially when we do the budget. But we haven't updated it yet because it's fairly new, so we can keep that on there, we can combine it with number 3.
Seems like you combined it, and then would it be considered, update would be during the budget? Or, that would be a guidance, wouldn't be necessarily the update, but then,
Well, the Parks Master Plan is
Oh,
like our
that-
other
that's
master
not- yeah,
plans,
no, yeah,
it's not
yeah,
something you
yeah,
update
right,
every year.
right, okay.
But as we touch capital improvements within that category, yeah.
That would be our
Yeah.
guidance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is that plan?
Yeah.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah.
So we just wanna make sure whatever's in that plan is the things we, the council, as well as our Parks Commission wanna see.
And it did help guide the North Park process that we've been going through, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was the starting point for that. Okay, goal number 2, continue to support and grow the annual community event, the Millersburg Celebration. So one thing in the version I'm gonna hand out, I thought we might wanna make that language a little more generic for just city events, whatever
Mhm.
they are.
Yes.
So, support city-sponsored committee to manage the Millersburg celebration. I have some suggestions in here on changing, the wording a little bit, but the goal to continue supporting community events.
Yeah.
That could definitely be kept.
Yeah, I got notes not to be so specific, events committee maybe versus city. But yeah, community events, I had farmers market, I list a whole bunch of events. that-
Community events.
Yeah, community events captured it all, so.
Okay. And if you want, there's not a lot here in this one, if
Yeah.
you want to add more specificity, we could do that. at the end, I'm gonna ask you, to provide feedback at some point in the near future, so
Mm.
keep that in mind. Reaching out to
I know,
businesses.
Ray, you had a few things here, so jump in.
I got some questions on the community's authority. Let's,
Oh, that's,
how far can the community go? Like, for example, there's a meeting on Wednesday evening over at Mike's house for the possible car show. Do they have the right to go ahead and make a decision at that meeting and then obligate vendors? Or do they have to come back to the council?
I think there's two pieces to this. If members of the committee are meeting at Mike's house to talk about the car show and they don't have a quorum, so they can meet and not notice it as a public meeting, then they can't make a decision. But they could meet, if they don't have a quorum, and talk about it and bring it back to the committee and have a committee meeting where they, it's publicly noticed and all that. Where
just
they
saying if
make
they
some
have-
decisions.
If they have three or more people that are on the park or planning commission, whatever it is, they're supposed to notify the public?
It's a public meeting because it's a body of a public agency,
Okay.
so that makes it, if it's that many, if you have enough committee members to be a quorum, yes.
Okay. Now, do they have the
Four.
authority to commit? Out of that meeting, let's say they want to hire Strohmeyer.
They
Can they
don't,
commit to him immediately?
they have the, yeah, they have the ability to, plan, make recommendations, but they can't enter any contracts themselves. So all contracts have to be signed by city staff. So I signed like the drone contract that came to me to sign, which I did last week because that was the direction that I've been gotten. That's why we have council liaisons on the committee. So, but they have a budget, and within that budget, they can make some decisions, but they can't go spend the money. The staff has to spend the
How
money.
much is their budget?
30,000.
Okay.
That's what last year's was.
So,
Actually,
could go up?
you guys changed it to.
35.
No, you changed it to 70,000. Because,
Oh, that's right.
Expenditures, 'cause
We were gonna raise 40,000.
Yeah,
so the city was putting 30,000.
yeah.
I was gonna say, I didn't raise nothing.
Yeah.
I was been sick
The
that day.
charter still rules all,
Mhm.
and it's a
Yeah.
city manager charter, so the city manager in exercising contract decisions has wide discretion, so. I mean, the committee cannot, has to do public meetings in order to make a final decision, but its decision-making authority would be, it doesn't include the ability to make public contract.
So let me jump in on that, because honestly, at our events committee, I sent that email out to council indicating what was talked about. This $12,500 is a commitment. And, I was like, well, we've done that before. That's how the processes work through that committee. It didn't come to council. It's discretion. I mean, the city manager has that power, correct? I mean, you signed the contract.
Correct.
But that committee
Under our purchase.
is given some lenience. And so I just put that out there, is that that's the lenience.
As long as they're living within their budget.
Yeah,
The
and,
city,
yeah.
the city council doesn't have to approve, city council already approved the budget.
Right.
right,
And, in that meeting, I mean, I was at the events committee meeting, and that meeting for the car show, it's just people who are interested in the car show.
it's just to gather info.
Yeah, they've decided they're gonna have a car show on the 27th of July. And
Right,
now they're just trying to figure out where we go with it, rather than have the whole committee meet for 2.5 or 3 hours talking about a car show.
yeah. I think the only thing for that is, and that could be on my fault, or I'll throw a dick under the bus a little bit, is at the last council meeting, we could have talked more about what they are talking about and generally, but this sort of did come, the drone came very quick. Because it's a timeframe, on that, but, that's something in future, I think it would be good at least pre-warm up the council, like, hey, this is what the committee is thinking of, and would be our role of being on as liaisons, is to give an update a little bit more on that. Now, I'll take responsibility that I didn't really know for sure how fast things were gonna go, so that's why I felt the need to fire that email out to you guys once that was out there, but we certainly can let council know more if it caught you off guard, so. Not sure
Hold
if
on,
they
I'm so confused. Someone said there's a meeting at my house?
did. And you're serving food and drinks. I'm
No,
coming.
there's an entrance meeting in my house.
Oh, man.
That's what your wife called me.
It's not, and there's no quorum. Because there's only two committee members, me and Ray.
Yeah, and well,
Yeah,
Ray's not
move
on it. Oh, a council meeting, right?
Council, yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
and I don't think there was gonna be any decision. It was mostly gathering information, trying, coming up with some
Trying to figure out
ideas.
what
Yeah,
hap- you know, how to put it all together.
Yeah.
Registrations.
I wasn't going, I was just
We
joking.
have a couple things going against us, guys. You know, you got it scheduled for a Sunday. which-
All the dates.
We're off
and-
topic, we're
Yeah,
off topic.
yeah, I can talk more with you,
Alright,
or,
that's fine.
yeah, There, we didn't have many dates to pick, so it was nothing or that, basically is what it is. Okay, let's keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah, 6.
All right, we're almost there. to this.
Yes.
Priority 6, environmental stewardship. Goal number 1, manage natural resources through long-range planning to ensure proper maintenance and investment in these resources. So manage city open space property to promote the health of existing trees and habitat. This is ongoing. We've adopted language about this that came out of the strategic priority. We can leave this in here because the city does own some of these pieces of, not all of them, but some of the pieces of open space we're talking about. So we can leave this on here as, will we manage them? You know, continue ongoing to manage them. Preserve existing trees where possible and encourage planting of new trees with development. That's also in our development code, the requirements for planting trees. I can also tell you in the stormwater world, the TMDL change that is coming up will require shading and more things about shading, which comes down to trees. So this would be in line with, there's nothing that we need to change here, but.
So we can remove that, you're saying?
We can remove it or we can leave it, either way.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be in the strategic plan, but it is something that we will be continuing to do.
I like it in there.
Okay.
Shows we're doing something.
Number 3, I do have a suggestion to change this one. Maintain the urban stream system to preserve and increase stormwater flow capacity while supporting beneficial vegetation and habitat. So this was put in because of capacity concerns on Crooks Creek and its tributaries, mainly a couple of the tributaries up north. But increasing stormwater flow capacity is problematic from a regulatory standpoint. We really can't do that. We can maintain, I shouldn't say we can't do that. We can't do that without jumping through a lot of hoops. And I think what we learned in the stormwater master plan is we don't have a problem that we need to address here that the city has created. Now, there are areas of farmland that flood, that have always flooded. They're private, I think we learned going through the stormwater master plan, there are maybe things that they would like to see different, but is that the city's role to change that existing natural drainage way condition through private property? It's not our responsibility. If the city wanted to help them in those ways, you could, but, so I would just say preserve, the flow capacity, not increase the flow capacity. If you start increasing flow capacity, then you impact downstream, properties, and that can be problematic.
So
A
should
good-
this be reworded in a way where it's more plan for new development in order to maintain or something along those lines, right? That you need to, because new developments, you're gonna have to do something with the drainage system in that new development, so.
We could say it in here, we're doing it,
That's
we
in that-
require it
In
already.
the development code.
Okay.
It's in our engineering
or
standards
yeah.
and the development code and in the MS4 permit, really. You know, it's throughout.
I might be able to give an example to that one, what is asked of us, and it's on Millersburg Drive on the backside. You go down there right now, it's totally flooded. It's be right behind some houses. They wanted the city to come in. Yeah.
Wasn't there a culvert that was?
Yeah, right in there.
Yeah.
And that's all flooded right now, or there's standing water out there, and they wanted us to do the system, get that all drained out and.
Didn't we have
and
brush clearing going through there at one point?
Yeah, it was, and basically it was like, that's private property.
That's got like 4 or 5 lots for sale right now.
I don't know what's for sale.
I don't know. But it's all water right now. So anyways, that might be an example where we don't want to create, like you're saying, we can we can assist with like maybe staff with looking at stuff, but this is between neighbor to neighbor. One neighbor wanted it drained more, but then it would impact the neighbor down the street and so forth, and they wanted us to get in the middle, which is typical, right? Of it,
Yeah, I think part of that, Cricks Creek's main channel's down here,
yeah,
right? And we want to maintain that.
yeah.
Flow. I mean, there's a lot of stormwater discharges in that creek or tributaries of that creek. So, and that's where we do brush clearing or have done brush clearing. We also own some of the property along it here. You know, this is our responsibility. So we want to keep that going, but to
Actually,
go
didn't we just get the piece
change-
back?
Yeah, we just accepted more.
We just accepted more of it right there too, right?
more of it, yeah,
Well, that's right,
this last
yeah,
year.
in
right.
here.
I think it's
Yeah,
to the right.
Yeah.
Oh, this part, yeah,
Yeah,
but the
that's-
channel is up here in the lots though,
Okay,
so we actually don't own that, where we have is up here. And
But we own that, right?
we own this,
Yeah,
but the
but-
channel's up
yeah.
there, so that's where the clearing has to happen. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so that's an ongoing thing, and I think saying maintain it is good. We need
Yeah.
to maintain things. We don't wanna let them get, so overgrown that things hang up, water can't pass through. There's always beaver dams going in, but.
So are you proposing we just strike the and increase stormwater flow capacity while
Yeah.
supporting?
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, I would say just say system, urban stream system to preserve stormwater flow capacity.
and
And-
support beneficial
support beneficial, yeah,
vegetation, okay.
yeah. The challenge is you wanna keep it shaded, you
Yeah.
wanna keep erosion from happening, but you
Right.
don't want so much brush to grow that it hangs out, blocks the channel.
Can you plant flowers there? So it's just, no, I'm kidding.
Okay, evaluate city facilities for opportunities to increase or incorporate renewable power and energy savings. So we've talked about that a lot recently. There's no reason that we can't leave this in here and keep evaluating. We definitely want to look at the fire station again.
Or if things change, yeah.
And
Or
it's
s-
not just solar here, like we have a project this year to switch out lights for LED fixtures. So
right.
there are other things that we're doing too.
We get
They're
enough
just
wind at 4 o'clock. Do you consider a windmill?
Yeah, no doubt. You hear it coming, it's like,
Yeah, please.
All right, and the last one on here is consider opportunities for reuse of treated wastewater for industrial or irrigation needs. This is an ongoing discussion with Albany. We can leave it on the list. I think it's good to keep it on our radar, keep it on their radar, that there could be, need customers for this product if we end up treating the water to the level that it can be used. We don't have the drivers here that they do in other parts of the country where this is standard and they're using to water all the golf courses. But we have had industrial customers ask, not current customers, sorry, businesses looking to locate here, ask if we have this available because they would like to use it, but it takes some infrastructure too to pipe it from the plant up to here.
I had a note, just, I don't know if that's the spot, but do we want any kind of verbiage to it with the mulch solid
Mhm.
to be added into that maybe, language? I don't know. I mean, we've used it. It's down our plant. I don't know,
Maybe the question would be, what kind of objective would you
or
want
we
to
look
have
at,
about that?
I don't know. I just had a note there because I know we've used it for some of the, parks or, around here at City Hall. The mulch,
I can
I don't know.
I can talk with Albany and see, I mean, they're looking at marketing it now,
Mhm.
what they're gonna do with it. I can talk with them about what the plan is and see if there's there's something that we wanna add in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where they are at the moment. It's been a little while since we've talked about it, but,
I don't know if it needs to be there. I had a note, so maybe not.
okay, that's the end of all of these comments. So, it is 4:11, so, or 4:12. So we still got some time left. I'm gonna jump back to fifth. So would like to review the mission, vision, and values with you. And again, this is all workshop. We don't have to finalize anything, but I would like to bring a draft plan back to you that incorporates the feedback that I've gotten. And, any comments you might have in the next few weeks, maybe? We'll talk about next steps at the end. So kind of the big picture things, the mission, vision, and values are the upfront part of the document. Actually, let me go back to the document. You don't have it in front of you. Mission, vision, values. And then the strategic priorities that we just went through. So if you want to make any changes to the mission, and Mayor sent me one idea, and this is just, you know, the concept here is that, well, we don't really mention agriculture or farmers in this. The old slogan used to be community linking agriculture and industry. And that kind of got moved because linking agriculture and industry didn't include the residential component, which had grown a lot, and there wasn't a lot of agriculture left at the time, was the thinking. But we certainly could add it back in. So this was what you sent, Scott, just
Yeah.
very
Do our
basic.
Yeah. It's just a thought. I mean, our city, if you look back, and maybe it's not pertinent anymore, but it is. We've clearly had a lot of conversation with our agricultural partners. And our city was basically all farmland at one point, not that long ago. But it was just an idea that I was throwing out. And obviously it could be a lot more, or it could be, we don't want it huge, but we want it, to be accurate. Or we could leave it alone, right? It was just something I thought, do we want to put in something about the agricultural part, which is, if this intermodal gets going, that's gonna be a huge export, is gonna be the egg. That will be the majority of it is the export. Not to say that, I don't know when that's gonna ever happen, but that will be a large exporter of our agricultural from the valley. We just gotta get the imports. We gotta get the boxes here. But yeah, I don't know, thoughts, what do you guys think?
Why instead of striking out business, just add agriculture?
I thought that too, it was like, I don't know if it's getting too long, but yeah.
It's fine, we could leave it.
I know when I looked at it, I just thought, well, there are businesses here that
Yeah.
are not necessarily industry.
Yep.
And by
No, I-
taking it out, you might be
yeah.
offending them.
Okay, how about
I think
that?
that's how I initially wrote it, and like, I don't know, did that get too mouthy or whatever? But
Business, industry and agriculture.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm honestly trying to figure out what we're partnering with agriculture on. Right now, we've been locked out of any partnership with ag for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
So what are we partnering with them on?
I mean,
I mean, not that
Well, we
I'm
have
not
a
that I'm
major
discouraging
employer right
what
over
they
here
do, I'm
called-
just, what are we partnering
Freedom.
with them on?
Kratom creates
Pratt Co-op is a huge agricultural.
agriculture business, yeah,
Which is industry
yeah, but
or
Yeah, but
business,
it's totally geared at
business.
I
or
guess-
industry. To me,
Yeah.
it makes it sound like you're trying
Our-
to partner with.
our
the farmers,
immediate
and
neighbors
farmers have
are
locked us out of
farmers.
any type of. And I'm not trying to come out against them, I'm really not, I'm just,
we're
I don't
gonna,
understand the point.
we're going to have that, I don't wanna say fight, but I have to say, the fight again, or the conversation with our ag partners. As soon as and this is moving forward in the future, as soon as we identify our urban growth boundary going east, if that's what's decided, it's all farmland over there. So I see that as a future potential, that's all there. I agree, I sort of thought that because I'm like, man, I got a bitter taste in my mouth from our agricultural partners. They really sort of hit us hard and didn't feel like partnership. And I feel like we did do a very good project down there that we've been trying. I mean, granted, I know there was talk about a much bigger facility down there, but in general, I thought it was, I feel like we came together, but we did hit it hard or get hit hard.
See, I like the vision, okay, yeah,
Okay.
I definitely.
You'd ask,
valuing our
Yeah, and I asked for
agricultural
it to be in there too, so
yeah,
it, or
I like that
or
idea.
one or the other,
How about promoting? business and industry and or promoting business, industry and agriculture
To maintain it.
to maintain a quality small town atmosphere, character, feel, whatever.
Let's take a vote.
Yeah. I like that.
And then just to, if I can answer Mike's question, I mean, Transition Parkway, it's gonna. It's serving a lot of our industry users, but also all those ag
True.
users, I mean. You may say, what are they giving us? But I mean, definitely I see Transition Parkway as a major transportation improvement that's gonna help. Their labor, their goods go to market and be put on a road facility and see a level of. Investment in the road system that this part of the county, I mean, hasn't seen in 50 years. So I mean, that I think was part of the thought process, but no one voted for it. So I just wanted to answer your question.
I just would hate to not include the agriculture.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
There are immediate neighbors to the west and the north.
and the east.
I consider I-5 as our immediate neighbor.
They could be a neighbor in the future on the
Yes.
east.
True.
And I think you're right, the modal system, when it fine dust hit, we start getting some containers and they start being able to do what they wanna do. I mean, they're gonna be hitting the tree farmers, they're gonna be hitting the right restaurants, and they're all gonna be driving their trucks into here.
You're assuming it ever hits.
Yeah,
Well, they're.
this is true, but. According to
And I'm
Nyquist,
an ag boy.
Nyquist says it's
I grew
50
up
or
in
75
ag,
year
so.
plan. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Mm.
So there was a suggestion to change that to promoting businesses. I think when this was first adopted, there was a lot of discussion around liking the term partnering with, because we work a lot with our industries in particular and see that as a partnership. But it's up to you. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Why?
Context, why that was there.
Right, I could see, if you just look at the word partnering, I sort of like promoting, but then.
Collaborating with?
But the partnering, yeah, that'd be more of that partnering for sure.
Partnering means they're being involved.
Yeah.
Right, versus
Exactly.
promoting,
We're promoting.
we're out there trying to get more industry,
We're
and
doing the work,
more,
and they're just.
yeah, commercial, more, yeah, and that's not
That's
really,
wordsmithing, but.
yeah, it is. So I.
It's all about spin.
Yeah. Collaboratively working with-
You don't have to finalize it tonight either,
Yeah.
or this afternoon. It's up to you.
We'll maybe throw out a couple ideas. What do you guys, first is on the egg part, I heard a little bit like, well, why not, why should we leave it out? But I hear what you're saying too, Mike, but, maybe give us a couple ideas on that. And, I don't know, but the collaboratively working with business, is that what you're thinking and so forth?
Well, I've got 4 of them jotted down.
Oh, yeah.
so I'll email them to Janelle.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds good.
And obviously if something else too, but I like I thought community, valuing our agricultural heritage, strong industrial foundation, so forth, blah, blah, blah. I think that'd be a good add.
Why don't you guys send me any ideas you got, like Mark's got, any other thoughts that you have on that, along with other comments, and we'll have to finalize this in another meeting, so. I'll bring that back. All
We'll
right,
have to make a decision at some point.
I mean, I'm even looking east, and if we advance east, there's not a lot of ag there that would be touching either. It's communities already built.
On the east side?
Yeah.
There's,
If you look at a map, there's very little farmland there unless we go quite a ways
There's a
east.
whole bunch
Oh,
of
yeah.
grass seed and hazelnuts.
It's mostly it's mostly already developed areas.
oh, you mean,
Where
you're
we
just
can
talking
develop-
right off a Century though.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's probably another work session is to talk about our.
Yeah, that's it for ag.
this is the area.
And
that
even
has
that's
been
not ag,
talked
that's
about in the
industry
past.
right there.
Well, wait a minute, we're zeroing a little bit.
Right there,
Where
which
is
is that's industry.
This
That's
is the
all.
area we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, that's all
Actually,
farmland.
Down to here.
That's not farmland.
That's all farmland.
What is it? looks
That's industry
green.
right now. That's where the racetrack is right now.
Yeah,
The
You've
racetrack-
got another.
Racetrack's up
another
north.
industry right there in the big building. Those two, I think, are connected.
right, but what's
Yeah, but
everything
Aldi's out
behind
here.
it?
And that's a private house with some trees.
This is a hazelnut.
That's a
orchard.
hazelnut orchard.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that agriculture.
That's horticulture.
What are we gonna partner with them on? Sorry, I'm just.
We're
do you-
the,
what do you-
we're the
what do you
second
call-
in
what do you
the
call
world
agricultural?
for export.
That is so small when you zoom out and look at that whole east side, it's all developed.
Yeah,
Start looking north, it's all developed.
well, right now we do have,
South, all developed. You got that little piece right there in the middle that you wanna call it, okay, what am I gonna partner with them on? I would say if we move east, that's our last pick to do anything with. We're gonna wanna grab what's already developed.
but we're gonna have to, I mean, when we make the UGB, we're gonna grow that thing out.
So-
Developed.
So part of the,
I would think, I mean, I don't know enough about the UGB, but
part of the discussion,
Prioritizing UGB, that's probably something we don't wanna
We
get
don't wanna-
into.
yeah.
That discussion at this meeting.
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
well, that's another
But-
work session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
But-
itself.
Yeah. Pros and cons of partialization as
Yeah.
they.
I don't know, if you guys want agriculture, I would not vote against it. I guess I'm just still really bitter on how that whole thing happened. And I just don't see it as a partnership.
Yeah,
I feel like they know they hold the strings and they pull them when they want to.
yeah.
They just disagree with us.
Well, let's put a couple of notes. It sounds like, Mark, you got a few more to add and we'll review it and we'll take a vote and we'll draw straws. I don't know, we'll
Well-
figure it out.
I got one question for you, bigger picture on the mission and vision. Is this along?
Yeah,
Do you still like the concepts that you've had for years? Like, other communities might have something very different. So if you're good with tweaking what we have here, that's great. I mean, we can just go.
I like the
forward.
change on the vision.
We don't have to wholesale change any of this, but they're,
You like to change on,
On vision,
On
but
vision.
not mission.
agricultural heritage, you like that?
Well, I can kind of understand. it, too.
I-
mean, 'cause
I'm.
We have the heritage here.
Ag did not partner with us on that.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't even interested in
I,
it.
it, when I thought, when I was typing it up for Janelle, I thought, I sort of like, oh, I'm bitter about it.
And one of the biggest voices on that's a good friend of mine, so.
Like I said, I mean, I'm all for the vision, yes.
But down the
we have an
road,
agricultural
right,
heritage
maybe on this
here.
council.
Get it.
Maybe, maybe it
And
is
having him
something,
call you.
yeah. All right,
All right, you want me to keep going? Okay, values. This is a lot of text, a lot of words here. You don't have to give input right now unless you have it and want to, on whether you want to see anything change here. It might be easier to look at it in the physical plan, so.
I don't know if it's just a wordsmith, I had a note here for, safety, priority 2, just provide reliable and effective.
We're not on this yet,
Oh, where are we?
the values.
Oh, my bad.
But I knew that was the next thing.
We can be there.
No.
If you don't
I
have
just flipped to the
anything
wrong one, sorry.
If you don't have anything right now, we can just move on past it and you can.
Oh, yeah, I
send me
didn't-
Any comments?
I didn't have any notes really there.
Yeah, I didn't have any.
Okay. Strategic priorities. So this, I did want to see if you have comments on these. And one reason is because we're working on the CIP and the budget. And in those documents, we tie things back to the strategic priorities. And so for this year, I don't think we're gonna finalize the update to the strategic plan before we have to get the CIP and budget. At least significant work done on them. If you wanted to make us change to one of the priorities, I don't mean the wording or the objectives
Oh.
and goals, but the actual strategic priorities,
Title.
I'd like to talk about that. I think just about anything that we've talked about, where'd my mouse go? New things we want to add probably can fall under one of these 6 that we've got here. But if you had something, or you just don't like one of these or think the category should be different, that would be great to be able to talk about that.
I thought the titles were pretty good. But,
What were you saying about safety?
oh, it was more of the verbiage underneath provide. I just said provide, or wrote in reliable and effective, maybe. But, you know, effective, reliability is effective, so it's sort of maybe a, you know, a
You
double.
wanna add?
But I just, you know,
I was actually trying to think of something I don't like effective. I was
Oh.
trying to think of something better to,
oh, okay,
reliable's good, but
yeah,
I mean, effective's not wrong.
I just don't like the word.
it's another word for effective.
I could make it more
We're
descriptive,
about to
if
have a
you-
list here.
but I just can't think how to make it more descriptive.
Yeah,
If anybody.
Well, you
can
would
read
hope your
that-
emergency services are effective,
Right.
just inherently.
yeah.
Yeah. Show up at your house ineffectively.
I just see the Three Stooges running around now.
Well, there's only two now, cause one retired.
Circus act.
He finally
Killing me,
got
man.
it.
Killing me.
How about just take out the word effective and leave, provide reliable emergency services to the community?
But we could do that.
Yeah.
If you don't like effective, because reliable is. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
applies effective.
I don't mind effective, but if council or
I'm good with leaving it too, it's just that word for some reason, it just
jumps out,
just sounds kind of awkward to me.
yeah.
You want to leave it for right now with a note that says, consider other,
Verbiage, yeah.
okay. I'll see if I can come up with
I
something.
love it. You guys just can't you guys can't, you know, tease me for being.
You
Yeah.
jinxed that, that's
Yeah.
why.
Community
Do you want to just go through them one at a time? That might be.
Maybe, yeah.
Community governance. Millersburg is governed in a way that supports the needs of its growing residential base, businesses and industry.
Yeah, I,
Pretty simple, straightforward.
yeah, I just.
Should we add to that?
You want the
Um,
word effective in there somewhere?
Mike's gonna get up and leave, no, Maintain current picture, I don't know, yeah. I mean, I think that's where communication is
Yes, it
under
is.
community. I don't know if we wanna use somewhere or put in there communication. It's already buried, I mean, not buried, but it's part of those other sub priorities or goals, right?
I mean,
yeah,
we can make
goals.
a goal specifically around communication if you want to.
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, maybe there. I don't know. We've talked a lot about communication, right? And that seems to be, it's an ongoing thing that transparency, that communication aspect.
You have a goal already.
Yeah, okay, so
Develop and enhance opportunities for communication.
Was that the
with
last
businesses,
meeting?
industries and outside agents.
which goal is that?
4.
4? Yeah, okay,
Sorry, what one we on?
yeah, disregard. Yeah,
Community governance.
Oh, we're still on the first one. Okay, good. I have time with two. So I'm thinking,
You're still working on it.
anything that jumps out at this point before we move to number 2, safety. Nope, moving on to 2.
Do you want to talk about 2 more right now?
provide well-trained, reliable, and. Dang it, I had it, I had it.
He'll come back,
Are
yeah,
we on number 2?
Yeah.
safety, yes. Strategic priority,
Is this the right time to bring up maybe crossing lights? On Woods, so they can cross from one track to the other?
Well, that would be under, when we get down under the objectives, this is just kind of the big
Oh,
picture,
okay.
but those are the kinds of things I'd like you to send me after the meeting, like all the things that you think we might want to add to this that aren't in the plan right now. And we get through this and we can see if there's time to talk through those things, but I think that's gonna happen at a future meeting for the most part. And then I think one thing you guys will need to, I will put them in the appropriate places in the plan as track changes or some way to show you what's added, and then you can kind of talk through, you know, how
Well-trained,
specific you want to
reliable,
get on something.
timely, there you said,
What'd you say?
timely.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Do you want me to?
timely,
They've been
You
pushing
didn't
that
like it,
response
though.
time down every
yeah,
month,
we've
it
been
seems
doing
like,
good,
so.
they've been doing good.
But I will point out those, flashing beacons for crossings on Woods Road are part of the multi-use design already. Or plan, concept design that we're getting, moving along toward the next phase of design, so, yeah, those, they're gonna become, they already are the new standard anytime you have a crossing.
Oh, yeah.
Go down to.
Yeah, let's go to 3, development, and yeah, obviously, send Janelle stuff if you got it. Especially once you figure it out, Mike. Development,
Okay, development of residential, commercial, and industrial properties as a planned and managed process.
Yes, please.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
comments? You may go on the next one?
looks good, good,
Okay.
keep it rolling.
Number 4, city infrastructure systems are designed, constructed and maintained to meet current and future needs.
It's pretty simple,
Number
yeah, 5.
5, recreation, a community that supports recreational and social activities for all ages.
All ages, I circled all ages, maybe it's just because I like that.
But I think we do that.
You know, one of the things I heard during the celebration from a lot of people was that how Millersburg supports the people in the community and how we're willing to spend money on them. I think that speaks well to that.
Yeah. Yep,
Did you think we were excluding someone in all ages?
no, I think I circled it because I liked it. Okay. I think I didn't have a note indicating like,
Just-
oh.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, so
Okay.
I like that, so I think I was just going along with what Dick was saying, yeah.
I think underneath that one, and we can dig into this more, you know, with the looking at objectives later, but underneath that is supporting the recreational reimbursement program, and I think that gets to supporting activities for all ages, even if we're not providing.
Oh, right, yeah, good.
And then number 6, Millersburg promotes sustainability through efficient management of natural resources.
Do we wanna look at rewording that one?
Sure.
And I'll say why. I'm just curious, what natural resources do you all manage? And would it be more instead something more along the lines of protecting the environment in some way? And I don't know how to word it, but
I think at the time, what I was told was this goal specifically came out of the original committee that worked on the strategic plan, and there was one member who felt very strongly that there needed to be an environmental goal in there.
right, no, and
And-
I like the environmental piece, but should it be more along the lines of protecting the environment instead of managing because
How about
we're not
oversight?
managing any forests, we're not,
Well,
some of what natural resources do we manage?
I think the intent here, and then you can talk about changing it, but I think the intent with using the term manage was, you know, we're managing our use of natural resources through the energy stuff that we're talking about. We are managing stormwater because we have to manage stormwater. We're managing water, like we talked about, to keep our losses low, not to efficient management of our water resources.
Okay.
The trees and things like that, you know, we own property that has drainage through it, has trees on them. And so we're managing those, but doesn't mean that we're never gonna touch them, right? We might have to we need to protect them, like we've done there's ivy in some of the trees in those open spaces. We've had somebody come in and do the girdling of the trunks to try to keep the ivy from killing the trees. But we also sometimes have to take them out if they're a hazard, you know, so I think that's where the manage came in. But if there's
just
something
wanted to
else-
bring it up, so if no one else. That's just where my mind went as soon as I seen managed natural resources was, or what forest are we managing or what, you know, but no, that makes sense too, what you said, so.
Yeah, Dick, what did you say? You said something, you had
Oversight.
oversight?
Oversight, management and oversight, or oversight and management.
You like
Um,
that?
Gotta make a change somewhere. We
got one.
You got one, all right.
I'm not very good at wordsmithing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what,
I'm good with the numbers.
yeah. Cause once we get down to the goals, we see that breakdown, so that's good, but yeah.
Those,
You could throw this in the chat GPT and ask it to make it better.
I don't know.
it's
yeah.
really helpful sometimes. Okay, so I have a draft I'm gonna hand around with some of the changes from last meeting and then some of the stuff that was just like delete this incorporated. I may not have caught everything that I may not have guessed correctly on everything that you did in this meeting, so we'll incorporate that again and send this out, but here's a cleaner version without all the stuff that we said just delete. And with some suggestions. So the, when you look at this, it's pretty clear the blue items are, and you might have to turn a few pages before you come across any blue. But the blue items are things that I added to the document that were not in there before, based on things council said in the past, based on some of the feedback, well, things that were direct feedback from you in the last meeting are not blue, they're just in here. But, or things staff has considered, they're for you to look at and see if you like or don't like. And then we can, of course, we'll add in more as you send them. So you don't have to read through it now, although you can. Next steps, hoping you'll provide comments and incorporate and then send this out again with closer to a more final draft, or at least complete draft for the next meeting. And we'll need to schedule and stuff. And we do have 4:40, so we do have a few minutes left. If you wanted to dive into any specific items or provide any specific new thoughts, like Councilor Hunt was suggesting, earlier, there's time to do a little bit of that.
Is there a chance to get the YMCA here?
Is there a chance of getting them here?
Yes.
From the discussions we've been having, yes, they want to, this is their plan for their next facility, next satellite facility would be here in
That'd be
Millersburg.
great.
Yeah, yep, and you probably saw that in there, which is what prompted the question. I did add that in. Along with the school district, so. Hopefully none of these blue items are things that foreign to you. I think they're all things that we've
When's
talked
the
about.
school district looking to come?
So let me pull the map back up.
We could talk about getting it on a bond, in 2027. I think it was.
Start a construction or plan?
No, you gotta get a vote, a
Oh,
bond
okay, got
approval.
it. Okay.
So
I mean, they'd
it's,
have to build the school.
Yeah,
do you know where they're talking about?
right.
Right up there.
Right behind us, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Yeah. Put in here something about the commercial area.
Yeah, I see that.
Master planning that.
So these in here, are these, what's in blue are some additional things that we didn't talk about at our last meeting, correct?
Correct.
But it's things that you've heard
Yep.
and you've added in.
Mhm.
And then also was the changes, but the changes from our last meeting aren't in here, are they?
The ones, I went back
I
to
mean, I
the
see
minutes.
some notes,
and-
some track
Yeah,
changes.
so I went back to the minutes and things that you said you wanted to see in here are in here
Okay.
now. It doesn't mean that that's everything, and it doesn't mean that I put it in exactly the way you want it. So read all of it.
All right,
And double check that. I tried taking out the things that we knew were just coming out, and I did leave a few comments of things that we didn't really resolve whether they were in or out, and that's fine. Like,
do you want us to try to clean that up maybe right now, since we have a little bit of time, or we can go down and make sure that you want a crossing on Woods Road? But wouldn't that be in general, if that was a goal somewhere, make sure it's safety to our roads or pedestrians is listed? Versus that's more like, really, that's getting really right down to the nitty gritty.
Well, even if we use the solar panel on each side to something that can flash the lights to slow people down.
Yeah,
so they
like
can
all,
cross the
like on
street
Alexander.
Safely,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Right.
that's already in the project plans.
yeah,
People drive down that road at probably 60 miles an hour sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something though, did we capture, I am assuming, the safety of roads and stuff like that's in our strategic plan.
let me open up.
What you're asking is more maybe at the budget meeting is to say, hey, I really think we need to get that bumped up or added to our next fiscal year to change, to add. And then we have that conversation.
So I think generally you could add something in here about safety for crossings,
Crossings or pedestrians, right?
pedestrian crossings,
so that we
road
under-
safety.
Mhm.
I think if we're talking about
Yeah,
in
they can-
conjunction with the Woods Road multi-use path project where the path crosses the roads, crosses the road in at least two places it will, that's already part of the project plan. Those are
Right.
gonna be in there. So I don't know that
Right.
there's any separate action in the budget meeting you need to take, because it's part of the overall project. as we're
Unless we
moving
want to bump it up.
We can't build those until we build the path,
Yeah, okay.
so.
Well, yeah, that's why we have the
That's
conversation.
why part of the path.
So, but that's what I was
project.
just gonna bring up too, is with the path, so we've already got in this plan. The path, the access paths and stuff. that we
Yeah,
were talking
verbiage
about.
for just general
Because-
paths, right?
So what she was just saying about, we could add the crosswalks in here.
Yeah.
Would that not be added underneath the path? Cause at some point, if we're gonna add access from the community areas to the business areas, there's gonna need to be crossings on Millersburg Drive or Old Salem Road.
Yeah,
I
we
mean, so
can,
we'll have to look at that all as part of that path piece, right?
Right.
Am I making sense? It makes sense up here.
That's the problem. I get what you're saying, especially on Old Salem Road, when you got sidewalks on.
I mean, trying to get to Loves or
Yeah.
wherever, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no crosswalks right now, so.
So,
okay, where was the one?
I'm seeing like, it'd be under safety, right? And like goal number 2,
Well, we can put it, yes,
or,
safety or public infrastructure. It's
Oh.
both.
Yeah.
But I'll make a note under safety about it.
Do you know what I'm talking about though, Mike?
Yeah.
That track on Evergreen,
Mhm.
and those folks come out of there and they go down as far as the sidewalk goes, and then they wanna cross over to the new sidewalk. And people are barreling down there at 50, 60 miles an hour. I ride my bike all over Millersburg, so I talk to a lot of people.
Don't cross when they're coming.
Don't cross them.
where,
Wow,
where's
thanks.
the
Okay.
Evergreen? That, it doesn't.
Yeah, Evergreen, that last track on the left-hand side of Woods.
But that's what
Yeah.
she's saying, is there's the
I-
plan in there already for the,
Well, I didn't understand that was the point you were talking
oh,
about.
so there's a
That's
different
not
spot.
part of, so you're talking about right here.
Yeah, a lot of ladies pushing strollers or kids on bicycles come out of Evergreen, they make a right, they go down and then they cross onto that new sidewalk that you guys just put in, the city did. I assume that was the city,
Yes.
to get into the, the other track on the other side.
Right.
But people drive down there like maniacs down that road.
So, yeah, we can definitely consider, we could have a more general comment about considering safety at pedestrian crossings, and we could consider a project to put a pedestrian crossing here. That-
Yeah,
You're right, that's not
flashing
part
lights
of
that-
And
the,
it could be, I mean. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, that is probably a good, that would be in sense, makes it. I don't know the rules, or not the rules, but I know there's data on it, like how far do you have a pedestrian from the next pedestrian? But that does seem like it's just split from Millersburg Drive. And we could do maybe even more of a permanent type deal there, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what this path looks like in general, and I think that's probably a conversation we have at our budget meeting. More in like, is this something we can really budget for next fiscal year? Or do we consider a temporary, just to get that done till once we get the path in, and then we could have the.
The
whole
multi-use path
deal.
on Woods is on the east side, right?
here, let me see if I can draw in here with a tool that will help explain this. So I was just pointing out, we have sidewalk here and here now. This last piece of sidewalk, we're gonna try to do this next year. The path would pick up from here, oops,
So it's, yeah, it's-
here, the path we're talking about building now would, or in the next few years, would pick up from here, it would come down. it
Up
would
to Alexander.
cross somewhere in here and come all the way down to Alexander. That'd be the first phase with a crossing here at Alexander also. And then the second phase would continue it on down to here.
Outstanding.
That's the plan, but that upper crossing that's a good point, because the long-term plan is for path on this side as well. But, I'm sorry, this side as well, but in the short term, in the near, until that is developed, most likely, we won't have path on that side. People need to get across. So we need to look at a crossing up there.
So,
Put speed bumps in.
well, I just think, to me, it seems like that's a logical place that
Traffic
we can put
control
it. Yeah.
devices.
Yeah.
Calming.
Calming.
Or.
The path that you talked about, the one you just highlighted in blue,
Yeah.
give or take location, but it
One
will,
to Marion.
when, if it's built, that's gonna be a permanent,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
where we put it will fit into future expansion of the road.
That
right?
is why that we started with a conceptual design of the whole section of the road and path. Thanks. And stormwater facilities, so that when we build this thing, we don't have to tear it out
Tear it out.
when we widen it.
So we can build that there on that side of the road?
Well, we have to get some property.
Okay.
We don't own the
so
property yet.
It's nothing that's gonna happen anytime soon unless,
We're planning, Andrew's working on scoping the design for the next phase. We have the property areas now. We've been talking with the owners. We haven't actually gone down the path of trying to say we wanna start negotiating property, because we'll have to start that with you, council. But they know, it's the Woods family. They know what the plan here is and the intent, and they're supportive of the idea. They live out there. and
Should
see the
donate
traffic. Well,
Maybe
they're.
it'd be good to go talk to them.
I think the rules for right of way is you can say they can donate it, but you can't suggest it. Like, you can bring it up, but you can't say you should donate it.
I can't.
And Mr. Mayor, you gotta be careful, if you're acting in your capacity as official neighbor,
I'll
you
just-
don't wanna be making.
I just live right down the
demands.
street. I don't know. I hear what you're saying.
That's
But
what
yeah.
he's getting at,
Yeah,
is
it's
threat
not-
of
Well, or we
condemnation.
should buy
back
for a
to,
buck,
You know, it'd be really nice if somebody donated, right?
Yeah, why don't we send Jack over there to negotiate?
Buy it for $1. Anyways, cool. We're getting a little bit off, but I think this is a good conversation, but yeah.
back to Counselor Hunt's question though. It can't be that much to put in a crosswalk, and especially with that new park being developed there.
Yes.
Keep going up a little bit further,
Oh.
a little bit. I would think we'd want something right there,
Crosswalk here.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
yeah,
so that that neighborhood can get across
yeah, right there.
Yeah, I was gonna,
and get around to the
That makes
park.
more sense than,
I was gonna suggest, cause they'll need an ADA ramp and
Yeah, we'll have to
everything
build
with that.
ADA ramps and the beacons. We did this on Alexander. I could look
There's
back
no
at the
ADA ramp
costs.
there now, I thought we had the ADA ramps.
No, I meant for the one further
we didn't
down,
Oh,
cut,
on
we
the
didn't
other
cut one
side,
in, did we?
okay.
Not on the other
There?
side.
not on the other
No,
side.
There's
Yeah,
nothing on this side.
Go out there
So-
with a grinder, grind it.
We can definitely add that to the list of doing it. It's, when we did Alexander, I wanna say it was the $30,000.
oh, so we put something similar to Alexander there.
I mean, that's what we're talking about if we're doing
Right.
beacons. We have to do the ramps. We
That
might
was
have
done
to
how
re-
long ago?
I bid 15.
I have to look, oh, how long
It's
ago?
probably 50,000 now.
Yeah, probably.
It's not a,
It's not a simple, or,
well,
I mean,
it's not a huge thing, but there are some costs. There does have to be a design, done. It's not just go buy a beacon and throw it up there because so much power needs. Well, we did it solar before, so solar, but we do have streetlights here that maybe could.
yeah,
power it
connect
also.
to it would be, yeah.
I don't
One
know if Pacific Core would do that.
One question I have, so it sounds like pedestrian crossing and safety is pretty important. Like, do we want to make would you want to make a general goal or objective of like evaluating pedestrian crossing and safety or something like that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, somewhere in our, added in under one of the
Under
goals,
safety.
or we could, yeah, under safety or infrastructure, but I think safety seems to me more that capturing that we're looking after our pedestrians.
Right, 'cause I
Cause it
think
doesn't
that-
say anything there, it says, what was it?
Well, and I think what Andrew just said is spot on, because we're gonna have to evaluate it too here for concert.
Right.
When that park's built, I mean,
Oh,
we're gonna have
that's
to
in
get
the
across
plan.
there,
that
so
we're
that's what I
gonna
mean,
have
I think we would need to evaluate it citywide.
Right, cause I think that would capture more than just crosswalks, but as well as sidewalk connectivity and speed zones
Well-
and stuff like that.
Well,
We're
this,
working on a big project that looks at all the streets, right?
Man, I don't know.
Yeah.
but I like the idea of putting under safety, about pedestrian safety, and all that.
Mhm.
And one, then it sort of actually, then we listed two spots. We got paths and we got the safety, which is driving us for the Woods Road pathway, which is always been, seems like with council has been a higher priority as we go through budgets. I know things get in the way of other projects, but it seems like a reoccurring that we want to get that through, which, you know, we've seen some breakthrough on that with just the recent sidewalk built, but
So, well, just a quick update on that. So Andrew's been working on the scope of work with Jacobs to give us a, some pricing for design, but looking at timing wise, there's gonna be wetland permitting involved in this. I mean,
right.
there's a lot of ditches, drainages, farm fields there. So if you consider, you know, the time for the design and the permitting part of it, we're probably looking at, what we decide, 27?
2027 construction season.
So just, so you have,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not gonna happen overnight.
Hmm.
But.
if we push
And,
things
and
forward
this
as
is,
quickly
I
as we
mean, a
can.
year ago, I know we visited this in our budget meeting, so those were in front of me, but just as long as we're not kicking it down the road, like, yeah, we're still locked in. And that's for us to decide as the budget committee and council, of course, at the end of the day to decide. Is that still 2020? If that is, then we're giving staff the green light, like, we're gonna want you to continue doing this work. Maybe we need to start looking at, talking to home or the property owners for that. I don't know where that is, falls into that list, but that's obviously gonna be something is to gain that property. So those are all things that happen here just in a couple weeks.
Well, while we're talking about safety around the parks, we need to do something around Acorn Park too,
Right,
because now that's Clearwater all the way through. A lot of people are coming
Yeah.
up and down Clearwater.
Mm.
It's 40 miles an hour through there, and there's a park. I don't know how many people know there's a park there.
okay.
And kids are walking across the street there from the.
Clearwater is
It's-
not 40 miles.
No, but the
Like
residents
you
that drive down it, that's how fast they drive down it.
So we've done the radar speed trailer there a couple times.
Let's put it again.
And,
Oh, recently? Or-
I'd have to go back and look,
Yeah.
but it feels like they're going that fast.
I know
The
we've
data
heard
hasn't shown it, but-
yeah.
Well, and see, that's the thing is like, and then we have these conversations that where our budget goes, it's like, oh, and then we get pulled and then, okay, we can't get that woods thing all the way done, but those are all the things we get to have fun doing in the budget meeting.
Oh, they hear me yelling at
Yeah. Get the air horn. Slow down. Do we want to, so first of all, Janelle, staff, do you guys feel like you have a general idea of like maybe an ad or for under, maybe would it be goal number 2 under safety? To
Yeah,
add in some verbiage about community pedestrian safety, type goals that we want, under an objectives. And we got fire, I see fire, we got crime, we got, police. It's all about that, but, there's something about FEMA, National Food,
so I made a note, Andrew and I will work on some language here and propose something to you, and
Okay.
maybe it's a separate goal. This is
Yeah, it could be.
disaster, this is,
cause, yeah,
it could go under goal 2, but we could make a separate goal 3 if you want to do that, so. We can take, I mean, I think we got enough feedback from you to
yeah.
take a shot at that and then bring it back to you at the next.
And if we did break it into a different goal, then maybe, one of the goals should be emergency services
Mhm.
versus, cause that, the number 2 title, protecting community, people and property, that easily could fall underneath that. So if we do break it into 2 goals, then let's just have one for emergency services, that gets the law enforcement, that gets fire, and then even that FEMA thing what's that say? Participate in FEMA national. Yeah, community rating, yeah, that could fall under maybe a different one.
Quick question for you. Who owns those radar equipment? That Lane County Sheriff's?
The speed radar?
Trailers.
Yeah, that's our LCSO.
Wait, the
Yeah.
trailer or
The
the
trailers they put out on the streets?
LCSO, they're down
Yeah.
to 1 right now, though.
For the
And-
whole county?
Yeah,
Oh.
but we have talked about, and I was gonna bring it up again at budget time, actually, I think it's still in our budget. Buying one of those, at least one of those portable radar speed ones you can put on a pole.
Right.
And
Yeah, I thought it was, we approved it in.
you approved it a while ago.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. Part of it is we need to understand the data collection side
Ah.
of things and how we're gonna use the data. How we're gonna collect it and how we're gonna use it. But yes, that's, that was one thought, was that then we can put it wherever we want to, whenever we want, collect data. You can make them show the speed, you can make them not display the speed and just collect the data, which could be helpful in some
Why do you need
situations.
to collect data? Don't we want to just slow people down?
For situations like where we think we might have a speeding problem, but it'd be nice to have the data, and if you show people their speed, it changes their behavior.
Right.
But they're most often used, yeah, as feedback for drivers to get them to slow down. Yeah, but it has both options.
So I have a question for our city attorney. So I have noticed, and this just came to mind with Janelle mentioning that we're looking at buying that. The legislature is looking at changing state law to allow speed cameras to be put in
God. Sorry.
construction zones. What prevents us from doing that around the city?
I don't know.
Is there anything that
You know
prevents
these.
us?
I don't know any of the regulations on that topic.
I know some of it, cause I looked it up before when we were talking about this, at least as it is, right now, unless the rules change, but I don't think they would change this. If you're gonna do that, then you have to implement it the same way, like ODOT does, basically the larger cities, as far as how you collect the data and use it in all the quality assurance parts of it, all the, basically, you have to have the same level of program that ODOT has. So it would be a big lift for Millersburg or for a small community to do that, I guess is the short answer. I can get, Andrew may know more about it.
Yeah, well, I agree. That's what I've heard. And also most communities just consult it out and it's a pretty big cost as well.
Are you talking about the photo review to determine, like,
uh,
on the?
Yeah, and I looked up the statute at one point. I don't have.
Is that what you're talking about, like tickets?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I could talk about that a little bit too. So, like
And
city.
I know it does need a photo review,
It-
so I can
it is-
understand that
it
it would be
is-
a cost.
What Andrew said is, I mean, you obviously know that, but I know I can speak to what Albany is, which I was surprised they went to another one. Did I hear they just went to another one up in North Albany or something?
On
Yeah.
Lake Road.
Cause I spoke with Albany Police about the individual that actually had a review. And at Queen, the first one was Queen and Gary in Albany, and it was a nightmare for them to keep track. They actually then budgeted out to a whole another company to manage, but they still, because it's a ticket that the local has to enforce, still then in our jurisdiction, LCSO would still have to review that, so that'd be an additional workload on LCSO. So not to say we couldn't do it, but also, if I remember correctly, it didn't seem to pay out.
Well, the city of Albany's paying $30,000 a year to have them maintained.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it,
And
which is
they're not getting-
why I just recently, didn't that just recently happen in Albany? I was like
Yeah.
surprised, so.
And they're not getting enough tickets.
But LCSO, we might have to then add to our LCSO agreement more for them to spend that time, but, you know. But anyhow, it's like, maybe it does slow people down, I don't know, we have these, on Millersburg Drive and Old Sam, we have these radars that show, and I feel like they slow me down, cause when it's blinking at me, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going a little too fast, and then I slow down, so I'm hoping that it slows others. We did talk about adding more of those in our community back when we put those two in, just to see what they were, they're like. Right, or did we get three? There was three, it's Alexander, right?
No,
Or
there's two on Old Salem and one on.
are there two on Old Sam?
And one on the north end, one.
Oh, yeah, my bad,
And
yeah.
we
Yeah,
paid for
okay.
them, the county maintains them for us, so every time there's an issue with them and.
There has been issues.
There've been
yeah.
issues, and
Yeah.
most of them are just it's what the technology, it's our climate, it's the fact that we don't get enough power
Sunlight that we're-
sometimes.
But one
Time of
broke and
year.
it was pretty spendy to fix, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we do rely on the county for the maintenance of those, because they have others in their system and they can work on them versus us trying to bring
Yeah.
somebody else in.
But those are all things that, yeah, for sure we could look at in budget time. But we're at the top of the hour, 2 hours in, pretty much. We got a little bit of homework, looks like. One, to look through what Janelle gave us. The blue type, as you mentioned, and then those changes. Since we didn't really get into that, why don't you go through there's maybe a half a dozen of those track changes that is noted here. So for our next meeting, let's have maybe write in, agree, disagree, or change it. So we can just maybe potentially blast through the blue and those changes that she's mentioned. And then will we get anything from tonight's meeting back to us with the track changes to look at?
Well, I can give you whatever you would like, but I was planning to take your feedback from this meeting and incorporate them into the version I just gave you
Okay,
and email out a new version, because like I said, in the second half of it, I guessed on the things that we would remove, but I think you maybe had some different thoughts on some things that I should probably update in here.
yeah.
And then we made a few other changes on the fly here that I can.
With that, does that mean, I'm just looking, it doesn't look like it's a ton.
Oh,
It would be nice, I would think, to get our ideas on this to you, so you can actually, then we can get to just one document.
I would like.
Because
to
we're bouncing
incorporate
sort of
those two.
between two right now.
Yeah.
Does that seem reasonable that we could do that? Get it by, I don't know, is Friday too quick to get the go through this? Just give her your response to those and majority wins. For the time being, it's still draft, so obviously, if you feel strongly, bring it up in the next meeting. That reasonable, council?
Fair.
Okay, so by Friday, closing time, let's have those changes or suggestions. It looks like some of them are just, you're just asking like to combine, what do you think, you know?
Yeah, there was one
And
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Most of the others were just leftovers
Yeah.
from the one we went through where we didn't really resolve something. It was just a question of, do you want to keep this item or not?
Okay,
Um,
so let's do that. So by Friday, and then we need to set a meeting, another date.
we will need to pick another date.
Do we want to try to do that now? Be easier probably with all this. Or
Remember,
maybe-
no, yeah, that's
That's-
good.
okay.
Remember, you do have budget meetings coming up too, so
Boy.
we were hoping to get through this before, but.
Well, let's take a look at our calendar, see what works.
So I'll throw out that next
Yeah, maybe throw out. some
Well,
for us.
Tuesday, the 1st of April would normally be a planning commission date, but it is not, we're not having a planning commission meeting that night because Matt's not back yet. So it's been canceled. So that is available.
I'm back.
The following Tuesday, the 8th is council meeting.
Council. What do you guys think, April 1st? Try to get this thing done. I see that. I think we could do it.
We're gonna do it early?
What would work best for everyone? I'd like early myself, but
Well, I have a meeting at 6 o'clock then.
okay. Well, yeah, that's tough on you probably then.
I can't do early. That's a week prior to our sessions.
Oh, okay. Okay, moving on.
The next week's council meeting, so
Mhm.
maybe, not that we can't do something that week, but the following Tuesday, the 15th,
When's our budget
Appears to-
meetings are coming up in the 20th.
the 23rd and the 28th are the budget meetings.
And the 30th.
If it is the 15th, tax day. That'd be busy for you back in the day.
No, it's not gonna be busy for me.
Um,
It's not done by the 15th, it ain't getting done.
yeah.
It's called-
What do you guys,
It's called an extension.
what do you guys think? 15th? Yeah,
See what I have to deal with?
15th, Mark, you good with 15th?
The 15th.
I'm good with 15th.
Okay, 15th, and
Is that better?
we'll shoot for 4 o'clock again, or what's
4, I can make 4.
okay, made 3. Yeah, I know.
Uh,
Okay, thank you for
Especially if they're
tonight.
talking about putting speed cameras up in
Yeah, I know.
construction zones.
So let's shoot for 4 to 6 on the 15th, and we'll maybe send out or do we do it? Yeah, an invite, but no, I got it here.
We'll send out her
Yeah,
normal.
yeah. Okay, good.
Great.
Okay, I still got public comment. Nope, don't see anyone. Anyone online? Okay, unless there's anything else to add, I'm closing this out.